Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Humankind OpenDev. For week 2, instead of one large scenario, we've got a series of really short scenarios focused on the combat systems. So let's just jump right into this first one. The Egyptian Pharaoh was unwise to venture out from the safety of his palace. Your brave Hittite charioteers are ready. Send these fools back to where they came from. Or crush them. I sort of thought that first thing was a euphemism for the second. It's fine. It's fine. Go out and win the battle, is what they tell us. So this scenario was inspired by a real historical encounter, and I'm just going to choose to believe that. My knowledge of military history is pretty poor. These may as well all be fictional for me. The city of Kadesh has been a vassal of the Hittites for years, and for years the kingdom of Egypt coveted it. But the Egyptians are now sending an army to seize the city. To arms, Hittites! Let's make the pharaoh kneel before our might. The Egyptian Markabata seem weaker in close combat. If only you could safely cross the river. So, this scenario is really simple. I did play this one once already. Sadly, my recording kind of broke, but it's fine. We can get this one's real short. We can get through this real quick. So, this is literally just we have an army, there's an enemy army, fight them in a battle. Our army is made up of 4 of these guys. I'm going to guess that that's pronounced Gigir, but again, knowledge of history, not so great, definitely a guess. This is a 28 combat strength unit with 6 movement, and you can see down there it is cavalry type, and it has the suppression ability. When this unit attacks an enemy, that enemy gets to move or attack on their next turn, not the both that units are usually entitled to. The Egyptian army is made up of Markabata, which have 25 combat strength, but because they're ranged, they have a significantly lower combat strength when defending against melee attacks. In addition, for most units, firing ends the unit's turn. The Markabata can move and then fire and then continue spending points of movement to back off after attacking. Alright, so here's how combat works in Humankind. It's very similar to Endless Legend, if you've played that. You have armies that are made up of groups of units. When you run into an enemy army on the map and move into them, it creates this battlefield that is comprised of the tiles around the site of the collision. So the terrain where you choose to engage an enemy plays a big part in how battle's actually going to play out. Yeah, we are absolutely going to stand and fight. I'm ready for this. So first we have the deployment phase. You can see the tiles that we're allowed to have our units start on, marked out in blue. And the terrain type of the tiles does matter. You can see here in this tooltip, standing on a river applies a significant combat strength penalty for a unit, so you don't want to have your units standing on rivers too much. Because we are the attacker, we have to deploy first. The AI will get to put their units down after we place ours. Honestly, I think this formation's probably fine. We have one guy up on the high ground here. Attempting to move into or through the river is really, really going to hurt movement-wise, but sadly our deployment zone is almost entirely in this little delta area, so there's not much we can do about it. I mean, I guess we may as well play this guy forward. Alright, so you can see some of the tiles are still fogged out. These are places where we don't have vision, so we don't exactly know where all of the enemy units are. What we do know is that this guy is in some serious trouble. So you can see we have a massive advantage here. We have better base combat strength than he does, and then he is taking that penalty from defending in close combat. So let's just smash him up there. Of course, remember, these are alpha versions of the assets, so these are not final models nor final animations, and I do have the animation speed turned up a little bit. Let's take this guy on. So you can see we can get an additional combat strength bonus from flanking the enemy, which more than offsets the river penalty. So, crush this guy real easily. And then we have to kind of feel out where the enemies are. I don't think we'll be able to see onto the high ground from here. Yeah. Well, I guess just fan out a little bit and we'll figure it out. Hey look, we figured it out. Okay, so our units that are standing on the river tiles are going to be a little bit more vulnerable to these ranged attacks. Fortunately, the AI has chosen to spread their damage out, which is maybe not the wisest move. Alright, go get him. And then, do we have enough combat strength left to finish that guy off? It looks like, right now, it looks like he will survive just barely. Oh, no, he's gonna the big flashing skull tells you that no, he will not survive. Skull is universally a sign for, oh, this isn't going well. Alright, so I think we want to attack this guy too, but we're going to attack him from this tile. You can see the forest provides a defensive bonus against missile fire. I'm not so worried about that, but attacking him from this angle will allow us to get directly behind this guy. So you see, if we attack from this side, it's effectively 27 versus 23, and we will deal a large but non-lethal amount of damage. If we attack him from this tile, it is instead 31 combat strength versus 19 because we get that extra flanking bonus. And it turns out that makes all the difference. Something tells me that this is going to go poorly for them. Alright, once again, do you have the movement? Yeah. Yes, you absolutely do. Let's open up like this. Let's get that flank going. So, you see he has the high ground here. We're attacking from lower ground into higher ground, so he does get a combat bonus from that. But the fact that we're going to get to make 2 attacks in a row with the flanking bonus makes me suspect that he is not going to survive this round. And that's before we even get our healthy troops involved. So yeah, pretty straightforward. That's the basic ideas of combat here in Humankind. If you have played many 4X games that aren't Civilization, there's probably a lot about this system that's quite familiar to you. Alright, that's the one I've played already. Let's move on into King of the Hill. The Persian march through Greek territory is nearly complete. All that's left are a few stragglers at the top of a hill. Once they're dealt with, the city will be yours for the taking. Again, inspired by a real historical encounter. The last great land battle of the Second Persian invasion of Greece. We Persians must dislodge the hoplites from their defensive position. They may have the high ground and better weapons, but we have the numbers and the resolve. We will break their formation. Greece will fall. Use of reinforcements will be key, both utilizing your own and hampering the enemy's. Note that once your immortals hold the high ground, they will be deadly. So let's take a look at the forces before we go making any decisions here. Our army is composed of immortals. 28 combat strength, only 4 movement, and stronger when fighting from high ground or fortified positions. So that I assume that high ground bonus will be magnified. And then we have a second army over here made up of simple horsemen. Fast, slightly lower combat strength. Against a series of hoplites, which have the phalanx trait. Grants additional strength for each unit with phalanx adjacent to them. And then also 1 archer. And this army is, okay, same composition. So, if we select our unit of immortals here, our army of immortals, when we mouse over the enemy army, you can see the area that the combat will occur in includes the other enemy army, but does not include our second army. The fact that the other enemy army is inside the battlefield means that their units will be able to show up to the battle as reinforcements. This is not how we want this to go down. We want to maneuver this a little bit differently. Do we have range to attack these guys? Yeah, okay, and this will let all of the units into the battle. These two are standing too close together for us to attack them in a way that will deny reinforcements. They are going to get to show up, but this is a much more favorable attack for us. Alright, so it is suggested that we are slightly stronger. I think we can handle this. Alright, so you can see here we have a reinforcing army coming in. What does this symbol mean? Well, yeah, I mean, we want them to engage. Okay, so you can see this is the tile the army was standing on. I guess this is the tile that they'll flow in from. Yeah, okay. Alright, let's deploy our guys. So we don't know where the enemy is going to deploy, but we know we would love to get on the high ground. I'm not 100% sure whether we're going to be able to move from this tile just like up this cliff face. We'll certainly be able to move in here through the pass. We should probably not have these guys on the wrong side of a river. That seems like a bad idea. At least over here we will definitely be able to flank up and around. Yeah, I think this makes a certain kind of sense. Okay, this means that this unit is available as a unit for the army right now, I guess. Oh no, okay, we can pull the whole army out of this space. Okay, reinforcements work a little bit differently in this game than they did in Endless Legend. I'm going to continue to refer to Endless Legend as a touchstone here. So apologies if you're not familiar with the systems. So we want to be able to push the enemy away from the high ground. We want to make the high ground unsafe for them. And we also want to challenge their reinforcements. It'll be really important to make sure that we get horsemen onto those archers as quickly as possible. I'm going to actually swap these two. Let's have our melee units a little bit more toward the center of the battle, with the horse units out on the edges, I think. So that they can flank around the sides a little bit more easily. Alright, let's try it like that. So we do not see any enemies at all. And yeah, we cannot just climb that cliff face. Alright, your job then is to get in here and show me some information. Okay, that's definitely information. Well, I can't attack down the cliff to get those guys. We can attack here, but it's a pretty ugly... I've probably just burned these horses. And it looks like we are going to have a little bit of a problem. Yeah, we can run around and grab one of the archers. Okay, here's their reinforcement tile. So we want to make sure we are putting pressure on that. Can I know the river is dangerous, but I'm a little worried about having the horseman stand here, because he's just going to get immediately murdered. So let's take the lower combat strength in exchange for having positioning that's slightly harder for the enemy to deal with. And these guys are unfortunately going to have to ride through the middle, which is definitely not ideal. It's fine. Okay, so we can pressure the enemy's positioning here. We cannot really attack them, in part because I made a dangerous scouting play with one of our horses, but I think this is a reasonable start. Yeah, this guy has no movement left, so... I mean, we should probably attack... Oh, right, this guy's getting extra phalanx bonus because he's standing next to two phalanxes. We should probably attack, because if we let them attack with the combat bonus, the results are going to be even worse. No, I'm gonna make them spend their actions to lower the health of our unit, rather than spending our own actions to do so. Those archers really didn't contribute very much there. And honestly, this horseman unit dying is not that big of a deal for us. I hate to be callous about it, but... Alright, so they have managed to set up a really dense phalanx here. But we managed to bait them off the hill a little bit. So first things first... Ugh, the river. The river is a real problem. How are we going to get around the backside? I might have to, we might have to try this one again. I might have borked this. If we have the horsemen stop in the river, they are absolutely just going to get murdered. But... we are spending enemy actions, and if they're attacking the horsemen, they're not attacking the immortals. Alright, we have a slight combat strength advantage. No, we have 28 and they have 28. Their base is the same as our base. So, this is actually pretty ugly. Alright, I'm going to have you fall back. I'm going to try to draw them away from the hills here. They can come fight us where we will have the high ground. And I'm a little leery of moving the immortals forward then. If that's the case. I think we're going to end up losing these guys, but if they press forward to attack the horsemen, we'll at least be able to attack down at them. I'm not sure how aggressive the AI is going to be here. We were the attackers, so presumably they could just stand back and play defensive and they'd be okay. In terms of the greater war. But I think the AI might be too eager to kill the horsemen that I put out in dubious positions to think that way. And yeah, we've created a situation here where we can definitely have at them with a high ground bonus. So 3 points of extra high ground bonus effectively from Bastion. That's not bad. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get it on all of our attacks. We can do this. We can shut you down. I should have sequenced that a little bit differently. We should have done this first because we could have reduced the phalanx bonus for these guys by 1. Yeah, we're gonna lose this. I was too cavalier with our cavalry. So we're just gonna have to draw them forward. I think can we just restart? Here, we'll just pop out to the main menu and try that again, but this time with tactics. This time with any amount of forethought at all, you know? I do think this attack is right. But it's definitely not a good idea to just surge forward and let them come down the hill at us. Okay, so let's start. I think... Do I actually want to start you over here so that you can wrap around? Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll do like this. Push 3 units in to here and have these guys just come around over there. And then the cavalry can start further back. Yeah, okay. So yeah, one assumes that they're going to do a pretty similar starting position. This is probably a much safer way to push in and scout. You know, stay back a little bit, but try to get some vision. Okay, they have taken up the same position. So we're just going to ride in and disrupt the archers a little bit here. But we don't actually want to push all the melee in right away. Now the question is it worth sacrificing a horseman unit to prevent them from getting any free archer damage at all, which is effectively what this would do. It's also worth noting that pushing in with the horsemen like this will mean that if we lose this horseman, at least we're keeping the enemy in a certain position. If we don't do that, the enemies will run forward to here, which is actually probably beneficial for us. Like, we want them to come down the hill. So I think we're going to move this guy in, like, to here and just call it there. I have a tendency to, you know, play very aggressively, and that does not always work out in my favor. Alright. I will place a body here in the hopes of luring the enemy into this space, because that would be real bad for them. Okay, they have all of their units out immediately, as do we. Yeah, those guys are really not... they are not a huge part of the battle at this point. Alright, I appreciate all of the enemy phalanx units working real hard to not do any damage to my immortals. That's very helpful. Okay, so we have a pretty straightforward attack against these guys. And then I think a question as to whether we want to pursue... Like, do we want to go forward? So you can see, moving onto a river is very expensive. Moving along the river once you're on it is not a big deal at all. So we could ride over here. We could sacrifice another horseman unit to take these archers out of the battle. At this level of health, they do effectively 0 damage. Is that a good idea? And do I want to push in and grab this guy? I mean, we are uphill from him here. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. So we should be able to crush that unit. So we've left them with just 4 hoplites now. And I'm debating whether I think this is worthwhile. You know what? I think it is. It puts a little bit of pressure on the rear part of their formation. It makes that archer essentially dead. For all the combat damage he will be dealing, he is basically dead. And I'm going to move some horses into the river. I really wish you could stand right there. I should have moved these guys a little bit differently. The fact that we can't go down this hill into the river is really awkward. Because obviously right here it's very easy for them to kill us. I mean, it baits a guy into this position. My suspicion is they'll fill this position either way. So we might just be losing a horseman for no reason. But I also definitely don't want the horseman to not be in the river at the end of his turn. I'm going to fall back. Because like I said, I think they'll come forward. I think they will be unable to resist. Yeah, they'll kill him, and then their other units will want to do stuff. 5 damage, not even worth worrying about. Oh, look at the restraint. Okay, so they're a little smarter than I would like. I was really hoping for them to surge forward. If we offer up a horse in like this position, my guess is they will be unable to resist that. And I'll just have this guy fall back. He's close enough to the front of the battle that he can surge forward and get an attack off. You can see there's a couple of rounds left in this battle. So if it fails to conclude... Well, you know what? I'm not going to talk about what's going to happen if it fails to conclude, because I think we're going to get to see it. It feels to me like it's not worth charging forward. My only hope here is that the archers spend their attacks shooting at this guy first in a vain attempt to kill him, because I think even together they wouldn't get the job done. No, they're playing a little smarter than that, unfortunately. Okay, yep, so we're going to see the enemy move up to here. Alright, lots of good high ground opportunities for us. Now, we have an interesting question of whether we want these guys to attack, or whether we want them to just fall back and let the healthy units surge in. It's going to be not quite lethal. It's going to kill our unit instead. Alright, at this point, I think we start providing some pressure with the horses. Not exactly sure what the best way to do that is, though. See, I guess if I do this attack... Is that really not quite going to kill him? Oh, that's awkward. How much... It's a little unclear to me how much health he has exactly. It's like when we see 20 to 25. You know, it's not showing the, It's not showing the death skull, but it is showing his whole health bar flashing. It's a little bit of a bummer that there's randomness in the damage values. You know, I'm going to sacrifice these guys to burn some of this health off so that we know these guys will get the kill. So that these ones can come over and do a bunch of downhill damage here. So we needed that space clear. And then now we can apply a little bit of damage. Unfortunately, attacking out of the river is a little harsh. Do you do enough damage to kill this archer? Yeah, I think at this point we can just go ahead and do this to distract the hoplites a little bit. Alright, I think we have a pretty significant advantage in this position. It is going to leave us without a lot of resources at the end of combat. In a real game, I would not be happy with this result. But since there is no game after the battle is over, this feels okay. I'm assuming that we're probably not quite going to be able to kill this guy. Yeah. Man, horsemen really are a lot weaker. I'm actually a little worried that we still might lose this. Yeah, we took a lot of damage. Alright, you know, we're learning. We're still learning. Well, there's no sense in not attacking, because we're gonna see our units get punished pretty badly if we let them take offense here. So I think what we're gonna do is just have at the weak guy with both of our cavalry units. Oh, we both died. I didn't even realize that was a possibility. And then I'm going to have you actually fall further back. How much movement do they have? I think it's 4. It's a little strange that it's not shown on the unit card. So they might actually be able to follow us all the way back. What I want to do is try to bait them into a position where these guys get to attack downhill at them. Which I think this is going to accomplish. Or I'll just leave, you know, a spot on the high ground open. Alright, well, here... Oh, the battle will continue next turn. We hit the end of the battle rounds. So, we hit end turn, and the armies stay engaged in the battle until the next game turn, which has some interesting... creates some interesting complications. So wait, it's not clear to me. This tile is higher than that tile. Right, we get our bastion bonus here. Yeah. And you guys... Oh, you can't quite make it over. Still, this is pretty good. Okay, and then they just run to an inferior tile. I run to here. The highest ground. Now, unfortunately, there's a pretty big advantage for the attackers. They probably should have just attacked us uphill there. I think that defensive play where they were afraid to take damage was a pretty bad move on their part. Alright, I think we basically won that because the AI gave it to us by playing timidly at the end there. That was not a good version of that battle. Probably we could go back in there and get a much better result. But why do that when we can instead move on to looting and pillaging? The Franks think their river and city walls will protect them, but the Norse people are resourceful, and not unfamiliar with siegecraft either. It's time you brought these arrogant Parisians down a peg. This one's going to be a little bit longer, it looks like. So, keep in mind, we're not here trying to get high scores. This is about coming to grips with the systems, understanding what's going on so that we can fill out the feedback survey afterward. In November 885, the Norsemen again arrived at the walls of Paris, this time with the purpose of plundering Burgundy beyond. But when the city refused to let them pass freely, stuff happened. Listen, we don't need that text. Our raids have seen Paris seized many times over recent years. This time, though, the city wasn't our quarry. We eyed the rich lands of Burgundy further south. But those foolish Parisians are refusing our request for safe passage, so they will pay, even if the city seems better defended than usual. They may have added walls to their city, but now you can test them with siege weapons. Okay, so siege systems. This is a thing I didn't get to play with at all during the preview build that they let us mess with. So here we have some very basic 33 strength combat units. Up here, some pikes, which have bonus strength against cav. And, okay, just lots of swordsmen. Well, let's do the thing that they suggested, where we test the city. So, we have... receives double strength bonus when charging. Also, 39 combat strength. Hey, that's pretty good. And a bunch of crossbows. Fights at full combat strength even when defending against close combat attacks. Oh no! They've discovered slightly better ranged weapon technology. It is not clear to me... We need to dock. We need to find a place where we can actually get these guys up. They've built walls to prevent us from reaching land over here. So I guess we're going to have to go around. You notice we have 4 turns for this one, so we don't necessarily need to attack right away. I assume... Boy, how are we going to deal with all these walls? This is a system I am seeing for the first time. Okay, so we probably want to wait a turn before we engage. let these guys show up. Because I don't necessarily want them to ride out and actually attack us. I think we're in not a great position to defend against that push. So why don't we wait a turn before we get into any trouble? If they want to come outside the walls and play, we will allow them to do that. Do you guys... Oh, you still have movement. I was expecting disembarking from the boats to spend all of our movement, because that's what happens in a lot of 4X games. Alright, I think we're good here. How do I tell a unit that it is done? Oh, you guys are out of movement, so I don't need to skip. Skip you. Okay. I'm assuming that they won't come out. Yeah, okay, so... Disembarking these guys did cost all of their movement. Oh, you know what? We disembarked the other guys at a space that has a dock. Okay, but now we can engage... We should probably engage with our strong army, huh? If we engage from this space, we include all of our units as reinforcements. Alright, the siege begins. During a siege, no defender's army can move in or out of the city. As the attacker, you can choose between maintaining the siege, launching the assault, or abandoning, the latter leading to the destruction of any of your siege weapons. Note that the resolution will also depend on your opponent's tactics. Click on Maintain the Siege to prepare your weapons. Okay, I will do that. Get this... we've built a siege weapon. City walls make it harder for an attacker's armies to get inside the city, since they need to use all their movement points to move onto a fortified tile. Additionally, being behind city walls gives a significant combat strength bonus to any affected unit. However, siege weapons, at least some of them, cannot directly attack units, so it's telling us we are ready to go. I don't know if I believe them. Our side is weaker overall. How much would we progress toward our next siege weapons? So 20 fortification. I mean, they want us to press assault, but I'm kind of curious what happens if we press maintain. We are sieging, end turn. So the relative combat strengths of the forces did not change at all there. Every turn that the siege continues, the defender's militia, the army that's automatically generated to defend the city, becomes weaker and loses units. Ah, I see. This army lost some effectiveness. While undertaking a siege, you can construct siege weapons. These weapons are unlocked through the organized warfare tech and can be improved by other later technologies. Let's wait until a siege weapon is complete before attacking. Well, it looks like we're already capped out on siege weapons. They just gave us our siege weapons for the purpose of the scenario. They'll either be added directly to the besieging army or to the reserves if it's full. I mean, I assume we're not going to get anything more since it says 2 of 2, and we certainly don't have time to just sit around here. They'll lose a peasant in 4 turns, which again we don't have time for, so I guess we're just assaulting. Alright, now we are in the siege battle mode. The siege weapons you've constructed are available, unless you didn't construct any. As besieger, you are considered the attacker. To win, capture the flag, the blinking tile, or destroy all of the opponent's units. It will take a full battle round for an attacker unit to enter a fortified tile, unless the siege weapon destroys some fortification. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. I only kind of know what I'm doing. We'll figure it out. Okay, so we got a couple of trebuchets. Cannot enter city tiles or retaliate when attacked in close combat. Cannot move once deployed. They have an effective range of 6 tiles. Hey, that's pretty good. Feels like we probably want to place swordsmen in front of them, right? I think that's pretty reasonable. And then we probably want... Let's get all of our units out here. We probably want some of these pikes up front, because we are going to have to deal with that enemy cavalry unit. So let's reduce the effectiveness of their charge by rotating the pikes up front. And then, yeah, let's try it like this. Cavalry, man. They have more units than I thought they did. Okay, let's start with the trebuchet. So, firing here, the trebuchet will... I can't tell... Is it... Okay, it's going to do full damage, right? The stone walls have no green left in their bar, so it's just going to obliterate the fortification on the space. It's also going to mess this peasant up pretty good. That seems like a pretty smart move. And we can do some damage over here instead. Is it better to try to kill the the space that has the horseman on it. What's the combat strength of a peasant? Honestly, it's pretty good. I'm gonna use the trebs to attack here and to the space with the crossbowmen. Okay, so now these guys are no longer benefiting from fortification. We'll just go ahead and march our great swordsmen right into the hole we've created. And then... yeah, and then pikes through, right? So he's got the high ground there. Oh yeah, there is an elevation change. That's not ideal. And we've opened up a hole through which we can run units. So... I mean, we still have pretty bad attacks against the cavalry, but maybe we just run the pikes in here and have at their crossbows. We could use a greatsword for this, and then have this space be a pike. So greatswords have base 35 combat strength. These guys are only 31, and the anti-cav bonus. Oh, the anti-cav bonus is 8 points. That is pretty significant. I think we want to attack here, though. I would like to get these guys out of the combat as quickly as possible, and we'll just use pikes to form a little bit of a defensive structure against the knights. Yeah, and do the same thing on this side. Just make it so the knights don't have a fun charge. And there's no sense in us attacking over the fortification. That will hurt a lot. But we do need to have bodies in position to defend the trebuchet, because we're going to need to keep breaking stuff up over here. Alright, I think I might be doing this correctly. So the flag, the glowing oh, wow. Okay. It feels like destroying all the enemy units is maybe going to be a little bit more doable. Alright, let's see what they do. So we weakened that crossbowman enough. Oof. Even against the unit that they should not be favored against, it's a lot of damage. It's a very powerful unit. I mean, we'll continue to break down the fortification. It's ugly, though. Also, they have a lot more crossbows. And some normal bows, which are not really that effective, it seems like. Oof, that charge bonus hurts a lot, too. These guys are tough. So, if we... let's just keep breaking down the walls. I'm going to remove all of the fortification from these spaces. Oh, interesting. That was an amount of damage that was a little bit in excess of what I was expecting. Yeah, wow. The mouse over indicated 5 to 10 damage. I might have made some different combat decisions if those numbers had been a little bit more accurate. Alright, let's kill these guys. I wonder how many other places we're having a similar issue where the tooltips are not really giving us a great sense of what's going on. Well, here we have this pike advantage. It's not quite enough to do the job, sadly. But we may as well just march right in. Yeah, let's just cut these guys down. We gotta get our force through the wall anyway. All right, so that'll get you guys in here, and you will get absolutely crushed. Damn things just have too much combat strength. All right, let's have you fall back. This is really hard. So, if we draw them out of the city, like if we stand back a little bit, we can maybe draw them out of the city and then get an attack from high ground to low ground. I mean, we may as well take this right here, right? But every round that we stand back, we're giving them a considerable advantage because they have ranged units, and our ranged units are less good. And I hate having to end the move right before the edge of the high ground, because that's gonna lead to this guy just getting absolutely wrecked. Maybe we should actually have taken these units around over to here. We could have threatened... There is low ground over here. So we could maybe have threatened the flag. I assumed they were trying to get us geared up for a frontal assault, but that was maybe not a safe assumption. Both sides are evenly matched, it tells me. It doesn't feel that way. I guess the trebuchet is a big advantage, right? I'm probably being a little overly aggressive. We should probably be trying to leverage the trebs a little bit more. Fortunately, their ranged units seem to be focusing in on the siege stuff and not really doing a lot of damage. Unfortunately, when they do the other thing, they are really doing a lot of damage. We can drop some trebuchet fire. Oof. It's a big charge. Is that going to be enough to kill the... Oh no, trebuchets actually are pretty resilient. Which is unexpected to me. Alright, the good news is that horse is low ground now. So, the last unit of pikes can come over here and do some pretty serious damage. And then, can you finish him off? You will also die. I mean, frankly, it's hard to imagine you doing anything that's more relevant than this. The guy who has 1 health left should die killing an enemy unit. I think that's reasonable. And then we can blow up the archers. Just full stop. Wow, yeah, trebuchets are really effective against enemy ranged units. Let's focus on the horses. The horses are a real problem still. You know what else is good against enemy ranged units? Any of my own units. Alright, we've got a little high ground advantage here. Okay, that guy is low enough that he'll just die when he goes for his next attack, probably. We can start putting some real pressure on these enemy ranged. So where's going to be the best... Looks like this is going to be the most effective attack. And the trebuchets have considerable range, remember. Should I just finish him off? Probably not. We should probably weaken the crossbows. Alright. Again, I do think that it probably would be the case that we'd be in better position if I had trebuchet attacked the knights early in the battle, which I was reluctant to do because the mouse over was suggesting we would only do like 5 to 10 damage. So now that that misunderstanding is cleaned up, I would definitely play the opening turn of this quite differently. That said, it's looking like we're not in too bad of a shape here. We have managed to crack the shell. And yeah, they're gonna have a lot of difficulty dealing with our greatswords at this point. Let's make sure we are trebucheting effectively. So the archers are not a real problem. How are you going to do against those crossbows? You are not going to finish the job. So let's have the trebuchet soften them up so that that is not the case. And I'm not really too worried about the peasants. Let's remove enemy ranged. Looks like we're not expecting a kill here. Oh, no, that's a kill. Yeah. Then we can have our healthier units go at these healthier units of enemy ranged. And I'm going to ignore the archers for the moment. They are a low value unit. Seems to be a little bit of lag time on the animations there, and unfortunately we cannot issue an order while an animation is playing. Okay, this is looking fairly bad for them. Problem resolved. Okay, so siege works fairly differently here than it does in the earlier Amplitude games. I think that's a really interesting system. I wonder how wall building actually works. If it's just like you build a wall infrastructure building in the city and it puts walls up all around the edge of all of your expanded tiles, or if you have to actually build the wall tile by tile, so it's a big deal to enclose an area of this size. It's interesting. Alright, let's check out this final scenario, shall we? The Koreans have taken up a defensive position across the river, but your Japanese troops march on equipped with gunpowder weapons. You have to fight your way over if the invasion is to be a success. Well, I suspect gunpowder weapons will be pretty helpful in that endeavor. Okay, sorry about the jump cut there. Apparently this is the day of 101 technical problems. Having some real OBS issues today. But we're back in, we're here at the Battle of the Imjin River, where the last Korean king fled to his capital in the north of the country. The last line of Korean defense is trying to block our way on the bank of the Imjin River. Let us defeat them and prove that nothing can stop the Japanese. Boy, the enemy is safe on the other side of the river. Maybe if you can make them come to you. Okay, so we're awaiting confirmation. Have we already launched an attack here, or... Oh, no, they're attacking us. They are the attacker. Well, given this combat strength difference, I sure would love to retreat. Oh, we have units that don't want to run away. So these are just standard gun units. And then we have 46 strength samurai who will not run. That's bad news. Arquebusiers are 39 combat strength, so... And what is our opponent? He has arquebusiers of his own, and also halberds that seem just better than our melee units? Yeah. Okay, well, we have no choice but to confirm battle, so I guess let's do it. I'm not happy about it, though. Alright, in terms of terrain here, we've got a bunch of river, we've got... Okay, that's a forest. Restricts vision, provides a defensive bonus against missile fire. That is interesting. So maybe we can use the low ground river to make them come to us, like it said in the thing. So we just like fan out our melee units and then put our ranged units in the forests behind all the cover, such that the enemy doesn't have a clean line of sight to us, but we have a clean line of sight to them. I'm not 100% sure. Boy, I wish we could see where they were. There's definitely a lot of guesswork going on here. I guess stand in the forest. Yeah, just stay in cover. I guess let's start it like this, and we'll see how much we have to reshape. Oh, hey, that's a whole cannon. That's a mortar unit. That seems like an issue. Oh, they have a bunch of them. So there's another one, and here's one over here. Yeah, this is real ugly. No kidding, 770 combat strength. Well, the good news is their ranged weapons don't seem to actually be doing very much damage. Oof, that hurts, though. You know, I guess I probably screwed up a little bit here. We don't actually need to have our melee units in front. We can have our melee units fall back. Because if they try to cross the river, they'll get stuck in the river. They'll have to end their turn there, and then we could surge forward from behind the ranged. So actually, yeah, we should fall the melee back like into the forests. We should also... God, how many units do they have? The turn is very long. That's real concerning. And you're not allowed to shoot at this guy. He's outside your line of sight. I assume that's this unit blocking. But they were able to fire across... maybe you can fire through friendlies? Except you can't see anything. So no, clearly you cannot fire through friendly units. Even if you're at higher elevation than they are, which seems real weird. No, actually... Huh. So these guys can fire over this unit, but these guys can't? Like, I know there's a forest space here, which is blocking line of sight to, like, these guys, presumably, but that would not have any effect on our line of sight to this space, I wouldn't think. Well... So... Boy, what are we gonna do? I guess we can push into the river with this guy. Yeah, that seems like a smart move. Let's start pressuring one of these mortars right away. And then I'm gonna put another... Let's move another one of our melee units over here, so if they come down into the river to attack him, we're in position to punish them immediately. And our units are fast enough that we can just pull these guys back over to here, if it looks necessary. And then can we get to a position where we can shoot at that thing? Actually, no. I guess in this case, like, the forests are a real problem. So you can step forward to here, and that'll at least give you some line of sight. But it doesn't give you a line of sight to anything that we... Like, we need to get our ranged attacks open. Alright, at the risk of maybe making ourselves more shootable, I think we need to punch a hole in their force that allows us to shoot at their arquebusiers. So... Boy, ranged units just don't deal very much damage, huh? Well, we certainly can't cross the river for them. Alright, and then you can step over to here and I guess just shoot somebody. Having high ground helps. Having high ground helps quite a bit. And you guys step into the trees. I guess this is going to mean this unit gets hit by a lot of mortar fire, probably. That may not have been a good idea. Listen, I've never claimed to be an expert. At this point, I would wager there aren't really a whole lot of experts at Humankind. Okay, fortunately, they're very focused on one of my units that is in a good cover space. I'm a little surprised to see 12 damage against these guys who are in the forest. Oh, that's good. That's a good sign. We can probably make something happen with that. Oh, and they did move a unit down into the river. Interesting. I mean, those guys seem very vulnerable. That actually seems like a huge error on their part. And they're moving a bunch of their melee units back, presumably to play defense on the mortars? And then just forward. I mean, these are different units, right? So they have what appears to be roughly an infinite number of troops. That seems like an issue, right? I don't know that I want to step into here because then they'll walk in behind me and attack. Yeah, I might not want to do that. Alright, so let's focus on their ranged troops as much as we can. It's definitely more important than shooting random spearmen. One, two, three, four. Okay, so yeah. From this space, we do not have the ability to shoot at those guys. So clearly there's some unit line of sight blocking happening. Even so, from here you would think we would have a clean shot on that tile. Well, if it's not going to let me shoot at those dudes anyway, then I guess we just finish these guys off. Or honestly, they're so weak, maybe we just ignore them at this point. You can't shoot anybody who really matters. Can you get into a position to do... I mean, I guess we can just have these ones move to here and we'll just... Oh no, we'll take advantage of the high ground. We'll do a significant amount of damage. I'm going to largely ignore the dude who's at like 8 health. And the damage he contributes over the course of the battle is going to be minimal. And then I'm going to move you up to high ground, and we're going to take some high ground shots. It doesn't look like it matters too much who I shoot at. do as... Basically, we're just playing to maximize our damage output, because we need them to feel like they need to surrender, basically. Honestly, this is not bad. If I attack from right here, they'll move somebody to that location and attack me downhill into the river, though. I'm going to do this instead. We can probably kill that cannon next turn. And you are, I think, fine where you are. Okay, we're doing some decent damage. I'm still pretty worried about the mortars. And it seems like they have just a huge number of melee troops. Maybe we'll be able to wear them down over time. But we're really in a race with those mortars, and we are losing badly. Yep, that may as well have not happened, and we have lots of troops that can just melee that guy to death. Okay, they're doing the obvious thing. Oh, interesting move. Okay, so we're probably... I mean, they're probably succeeding here, right? Like, we're going to back off of that mortar for sure. But we're going to back off of that mortar to get a bunch of free kills, so I don't feel too bad about it. Yeah, they have so many units that they can just rotate people out and rotate people back to the front, and it doesn't even really affect their killing power to do so, to just waste these huge amounts of time. It's definitely a concern. Okay, you get dead. You get dead. Let's see. Why would you stay in the river? I think you should back up to here. Alright, if they want to just keep feeding me bodies, we can get some good work done here. You may as well take that guy, because it doesn't require you to step down into the river. And then... I do like shooting from the high ground. Can I get... Yeah, I can get a shot on those dudes. I think it's worth stepping out of the trees for this. The trees don't actually seem to be applying that much of a modifier. Alright, and I'm assuming, yeah, you still can't shoot him, but you can kill that guy. And I'm going to keep attacking with this dude, because the only way for this guy to get attacked is for the enemy to step into the low-ground river to get him. And I think the punishment we will mete out upon anyone who does that is worth the risk of someone doing that. Yeah, see, those guys are in the trees, and they just took 17. Honestly, it seems like whatever the die roll is on how combat damage works is way more significant than the bonus that we get for standing in the trees. I do love all these enemies running into the river. They're very eager to attack our ranged troops, which I get, but I think they may be overdoing it a little. That said, I still think we're going to lose quite badly. The number of troops they have is simply not conducive to us being able to win this engagement. Yeah, and those guys are standing in the trees, and so we're not even able to damage them. Alright, let's figure this out. This is pretty great. Let's see, you could step back to here. I think you just finish off that mortar, and like you shoot this guy. And then you... I don't know that it matters too much. I guess we should shoot at an enemy that more than one person can shoot at. So like, let's step you over here. Take on this guy. There's no sense in us even bothering with these dudes. They're very close to invulnerable to our tiny weakened guys. We've just taken too much damage, unfortunately. This is looking pretty good, though. How do you shoot him? You have to walk all the way over to here. I was kind of hoping to leave that space unfilled. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so right now these guys don't have a target. Okay, here we can step down to here and get the shot. I want to make these guys have to move out of that forest. Is there... Can I turn on... Yeah, show me the grid. This makes it way easier for me to count. I think we'll just walk you back into the trees. You're already in the trees. Yeah, I think this is okay positioning. So they still have 3 mortars. It remains a big problem. And we're about to lose 2 of our arquebusiers. Okay, those guys did run out into the open. Maybe it's time for us to start trying to cross the river? Nope, they still have lots of dudes. Like, lots of dudes. Holy crap. But we have to get over there and put some pressure on those mortars, right? Ooh, this is ugly. Well, we do get some high ground to low ground shots against their ranged troops here. Although we... Can't see them from lots of positions where I was expecting to be able to see them. Again, the machinations of the sightline system are not 100% clear to me. Is the issue... I wouldn't expect that these guys would be blocking line of sight. Like, from right here, we should have a very obvious shot straight across to them. I guess these guys are blocking line of sight, but I'm surprised by that considering the elevation difference. In this space, we're on the same height as those guys and above these guys. But I guess that must be what it is. So how are we going to... What's the right way to deal with that? I mean, it might be... Might be the case that we have to just offer up one of these units. We do this to free up the sight line. Yep, that does do it. Although, I still can't shoot him from here for some reason. But okay, we'll do this. Try to bring these guys down as quickly as we can. I think it's okay to stand in this space. If people want to come across the river and attack me, like we are fine for it with them standing in the river. That will work out just fine for us. Having lost a ranged unit already is pretty grim, though. See, probably it doesn't make any sense to move you. You should definitely get pushed back. And maybe that's it? So we do have a guy who's like a very obvious target. Hopefully they'll move some... Oh, that was the end of the turn. Hopefully they'll move some enemies in to attack him. That arquebusier is going to die when this guy's turn comes up. Oh, or I guess from another one of the mortars. I always forget how many mortars they have. Okay, yep. No big surprise there. It was nice of this guy to take that spot, because that was the good place for them to melee me from. Yeah, they really went for this, and they're not really dealing that much damage. They're just feeding us troops. Okay, let's go... What is the right way to do this? I think this is the turn where we just try to surge across the river. Because we got to get over there. We have to deal with the mortars. We cannot keep doing this forever. That looks pretty good. That looks even better. Alright, then we light this guy up. And do we just... Yeah, I think we just run down on him. Oh hey, there's an additional guy there. The best you can do is get into the river, which I don't love. We have no idea how many enemy units are actually left, because line of sight is horrible with all these forests around. I'm really worried that if we don't step him into the river, he's not going to be a part of the battle. Okay, I might object to the idea that we didn't have vision of that guy from here. I guess if you're in the forest tile, you're hidden. That's a real bummer, though. That's probably going to kill us. Yeah, I'm not used to having to manage line of sight inside battles, and I'm definitely stumbling because of that. We do have to get across the river, though. Like, we just have to get bodies over there. If their mortars are allowed to go unchallenged, they're just going to kill all our guys anyway. Maybe I needed to wait one more turn, though. So let's see. You die easily enough. Can light you up, and then hopefully that gives us... Oh, it looks like we're not actually going to kill him. That kills me, which is the opposite of who I want to kill. Alright. You get way deep. So yeah, we almost did this. I think I got a little impatient here, and it's going to end up costing us. Can we... No, we can't make it over there. You just run over here and make them chase you. Honestly, they don't have to chase him. They're just going to shoot him with mortars, probably. They're staying focused on our range, which is probably smart. Can't believe those guys are still alive. Same. Oh, if they still have... Yeah, they still have a full health unit over here, too. I don't really want to step into the river because I want to maintain the high ground, I think. So we shoot you a lot. I think we're going to do this. I'm going to try to get across the river here, and I'm going to try to do it in a way that my units will hopefully not be visible to them the entire time. That's almost a kill. Man. We were close. I mean, if I do this, it's better than just letting that guy die to a free mortar shot. And then it looks like you always take at least 5 to 10 damage, because that guy has none health, but he sure does get us for 5 to 10, and on the high side of 5 to 10. Yep, we're going to be down to one arquebus, and hopefully they won't be able to see him. Yeah, I don't think they have vision. But unfortunately, he is our only unit. Wow, look at that dude go. He really put up there. So I'm going to move to right here. Keep the wall of trees in front of us and hope that that is sufficient. Nope, they moved a guy adjacent to me. They definitely have vision. Yep, there we go. Alright, well, we almost got that. I am definitely gonna try that again and get it right. But I don't think that necessarily needs to happen on camera. I think this is a perfectly fine place to call this for today. That gives you, I think, a pretty good idea of the basic ideas of the combat system in Humankind. Like I said, it's definitely similar-ish to Endless Legend, but it's certainly not the same. So, thank you all so much for watching, and come back next week when we take on the final scenario here of this particular phase of OpenDev. And we'll see you then.